Happy Tuesday. It is your girl, the beauty influencer, and it is time for a little tea and wild thoughts. For all those who will be joining, who will be watching later, good morning. Good morning, my love. Welcome. I hope that everybody is blessed and well and feeling amazing this morning. I am feeling the energy. Seems to be a shift. I'm with it. I don't know about y'all, but I feel good. So hope I can even share those vibes with you this morning. Of course, if you haven't been here before, I'm going to get the vibe right. This is my orange blossom. This is really my favorite incense, and I do like drive an hour to go and buy it because I'm just extra like that. I have my lavender and birch and peppermint and diffuser. And this morning I am drinking cocoa tea. This is dedicated to my good friend Abigail, who I have been chatting with for maybe, a few weeks now. She lives in Dominica. Met her right here on Instagram. Good morning. And for those who don't know, like, my DMs be kind of popping, and not like on that kind of thing, but like I have really good conversations with people and really getting to know them in my DMs. So if you want to be one of those people, feel free to hit me up. But yeah, so it's cocoa tea. She lives in Dominica. I'm going to refrain from using any, Caribbean accent. It's probably not going to sound very authentic. But it's cocoa tea, made with these cocoa balls. And on my Just Joy Randall page, I will even share with you how she told me to make it. It's supposed to be very good for women in the female system. And I shared this with her yesterday. I put banana milk in it. This is a non-dairy milk. It's a black-owned brand. Found them in Miami when I was at Art Basel. So check them out. Banana Wave. And I found that in some health food store in Charlotte. So anywho, good morning. So I got a lot to share this morning. This is 30 minutes of just dialogue and my wild and free thoughts. And today we are going to get a little sexual, but I always try to reel it back in with something healing and, divinity at the end of the day. This is my love spray, so I'm going to get a little bit of that on too. And I got an eye doctor appointment today, so we're not going to take long. 30 minutes. So that's why I'm saying, hit me up. If you have responses to things, there are questions that you can ask down there at the bottom. Feel free. This is a no judgment zone. Not always going to agree with you, but it is a no judgment zone. So, got my little journal. And I want to start with, exactly what I'm saying. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm a person who loves to share what I'm learning, while I'm learning it. And I've just realized that everybody's not like that. Which is completely fine. I just happen to be like that. And so I'm just an experienced learner, I learn through trying things. And, something I have learned about myself lately is that I have allowed other people to just kind of think what they want. And funny enough, this is as I've been studying and observing myself and others, and this is actually a trauma response, right? This is no blame. This is not a wrong or right. This is just a is thing. And I shared this with my friend Robert earlier this week, or last week, or over the weekend, or whatever, because it's Tuesday. I was saying that, when you are a person whose household was on some level emotionally unstable, growing up, I learned to kind of just sit back and observe and not ruffle any feathers, right? And so you're kind of scanning people. You're like, that might hurt me eventually. So I get to know people and it's genuine. I'm asking them questions because I love to get to know a person genuinely. And one thing about people, they love to talk about themselves. If you don't know that, that's a tip in like getting people comfortable. People love to talk about themselves. And so, and I may not volunteer a lot, especially if a person's already comfortable. And it has never meant that I didn't have my own opinions or that I was exactly who they thought I was or any of that. It's just that, I'm genuinely kind of sitting back and getting to know this other person. And so and that's not a bad thing, but what it does do when you don't offer a lot of information about yourself is it allows other people to just kind of assume, either that you think like them or, put you in these categories that you may not necessarily be in. It's all doesn't have to happen in the first conversation, but it's just an interesting tidbit that I've learned about myself and so when people do find out more about me, and as I've been on this journey of self-discovery and sharing things, I think people are learning things like, I didn't know that about Joy. And it's not that it hasn't been there, that I'm freaking somebody out or purposefully trying to do that. It's the learning. Like I said, I like to learn as I go. And, sometimes that can make other people uncomfortable. So it's just interesting. And so, I was saying in my post last night and yesterday that I wanted to, have some really adult conversation this morning. Because normally with the tea and wild thoughts, I try to just, make it a little less, sexual. However, I am a very sexual person. I always have been since I was young. I guess it's just something that fascinated me, especially since my mom being one that was very, don't do this. I grew up in the South. Southern girls, for those of us who can relate, we don't talk about sex in our household. Nobody's teaching us about, it's more about, make yourself desirable as a wife versus exploring yourself sexually, exploring relationships sexually. That tends to be very frowned upon. And if you are a woman who is sexual, that's just assumed that it's something bad. And so I guess just a taboo of it again, and as an experiencer, it's kind of like, well, what's so damn bad about it? I want to know. So yeah, and men tend to be encouraged so much earlier on to be sexual and to explore, right? One sip. It's really good, y'all. Very good. It's very rich. This is the cocoa tea. Okay. Very rich, very delicious. So anyway, so yeah, men are really encouraged to explore, to go out there, to just, sow their royal oats. And women, we are taught to kind of just sit here on a little pedestal and not present ourselves that way. And let's be real. I'm going to keep it 100. I am a woman with boobs and ass, a little waist. That's just the way God made me. In fact, sexuality was thrust upon me before I could really conceive of it, in a certain way. I remember having this experience as a little girl, being in the 6th grade, right, and starting to develop. And my mom, I remember her telling me, like, in the mall, she noticed men looking at me before I was even really aware, of what they were looking at. I'm in the 6th grade. And I remember these boys that I didn't, they weren't cute to me, and them leaving this voicemail on my answering machine. This is over the summer, and they were like, yeah, Joy, you got some big titties and all this stuff. And and laughing and giggling on the answering machine. I remember my mom laughing and me feeling like horrified, like so embarrassed and so horrified that this, like, why would they do that, but they're just being boys, right? Of course you think it's funny. I can look back now, but I remember the feeling for myself of really feeling, horrified about it. Hating it, like it wasn't a positive, it didn't feel positive to me. It felt vulnerable, it felt revealing. I mean, I'm just developing this myself, So just interesting, how I was saying, like, the difference between, like, the way that men and women even just experience sexuality. And when we talk about sexuality, it doesn't always mean, like, your choice of sexual preference, sexuality. Like, we're talking about sex, okay? And the way men and women experience it. But over time, I realized that it was something I couldn't control. The way that I come across, is something, I'll be honest, at 38 years old, that I am just learning to embrace, and I was having a conversation yesterday with someone about, just men's nature, like, if you are a woman, again, who knows herself really well, I think it's natural, for men to be attracted to it. I had an ex tell me, a man can be attracted to anything. Like, he doesn't have to be attracted to everything about you. Like, he can zone in to, like, one thing on your body. It could be your eyes that he really loves, or it could be your lips that he really loves, or it could be your thighs, like, they just zone in on one thing. So a lot of women tend to feel, again, like you have to be this vixen, and you have to be so sexual, and whatever it is about you, boo, and he liking it, like, just trust that he likes it, at the end of the day. Facts. Okay, thank you, Mr. Biggs. And so I will also say that ex and that particular relationship was one that really allowed me to explore. I was very comfortable with him. Like, we were super duper good friends, and we just committed to, like, just wilding the fuck out. And I'll be honest, it was right after a relationship that I was in that, I felt like this was my high school sweetheart, and, we were going to get married. And when that didn't work, it was 10 years of that. I was like, what they call hoe face. Okay. My mom has asked me recently, she's like, yeah, I want to watch her Tuesday. Nah, because I would never, like, really want to have this conversation in front of her. I'll get there, but not right now. So, yeah, like, part of what I have written down here is newsflash. Like, we like sex. Women like that. I know that's not a surprise to women. Maybe it's a surprise that I so openly say that. Good morning. And I think that because women, good morning. I think that because women are allowed to explore themselves more emotionally, we actually enjoy sex a little bit more in a certain way. I think that, and men, feel free, again, you don't have to agree with me, but I would, in this conversation, I would fare to say that that's something that men can, on some levels, envy in a way, like the way that men can explore physically. They can conquer, they can conquest, they can do that all day long. In terms of the depth and the experience of sex, though, I think it's always connected to something emotional. There's nothing worse than non-emotional sex, to me. I mean, purely physical with nothing engaged here at all, like, is whack. I don't think that it's possible for two people to connect, and really have a good time. In fact, if you really are engaged that way, it's probably two people having an individual experience versus two people connecting, in a sexual experience. So, but yeah, women, I just happened to have a partner at the time who, and I mean, this is a time when all my hair was cut off. Like, I had a brush cut. I probably rejected every little nuanced, perfect thing about myself at the time. And he embraced it, and he was like, yeah, like, go after it. We did everything under the sun. Like I said, I'm an experienced learner, and I'm not ashamed, of anything that I've done in the past. Though I don't always volunteer, every single bit of information either. This is what conversations are about, right? Like I was just saying yesterday that, we all have sides of ourselves that feel vulnerable to us. We've experienced anger, fear, all of those things. Everybody has experienced that. And so when you also don't have to just volunteer your vulnerability that way. But feel free, like I said, I'm not going to tell you only have 30 minutes. You need a podcast. Yeah, I'm getting there. The whole point is to kind of be a little tease and kind of get the conversation going. And what I really want to do at some point is make the conversations live. In person. Like, that's what I love most. Much respect to that man for being mature and open-minded, because people tend to think black men aren't. And that's a black male perspective. I can't particularly speak on it. And you know what? Let me keep it all the way 100 with that too. That's the one that broke my motherfucking heart. Like, all the way down to white meat. I was telling my friend, to open ourselves up so much. It was interesting that he was so down to explore, again, physically that way. And we had such a deep friendship and such a deep connection. And then he chose somebody, which, I don't want his ass at all. He chose someone that he hadn't explored those things with. And so I think a lot of it, and that's the parts that I think that men and women are like, that at times we don't really acknowledge. We all have this vulnerability, right? And we all have this way that we like want to see ourselves. We want to be accepted by someone. We want someone to see us the way that we want to be seen. Beautiful, sexy, smart, intelligent, like half the reason, or a lot of the reasons that we choose a partner that we choose is because, this person kind of gives us something that maybe we don't feel like we have. Like right now, the partner that I'm with, I also feel extremely free, and can totally be myself. And but I think the thing that I love about this relationship the most, and love about him, is he doesn't try to box me in at all. It's not like, oh, you have to be, like cooking, cleaning, this. He has had enough experiences in his life to allow me to have my experiences in my life. And it just comes together really nicely, and we continue to grow together too. He's not just looking for a freak. You know what I mean? Like, and he's allowed every single part of who I am. So it's no boxes there. And that makes me feel more comfortable, to continue to explore myself in every single way without the fear, that I won't be the one. Yeah. So, a lot of, and again, we got men here on the timeline. A lot of men tend to make women feel, again, like if you have explored sexually, if you have, had a partner or two, that you must not be wifey material. A lot of men subscribe to that. They don't want the woman that is, super sexual, desirable, whatever. They don't want that person as their partner, as their wife. I always say, men kind of feel like you fall into you either the hoe or you wifey. Is you hoe or is you wifey? Oh, that's a lie? Okay, well, tell me about it. And that could just, again, that's your perspective. In my experience, there's a lot of that. And sometimes it's more conscious than not. Palo Santo on that. So, just my personal opinion and experiences. But again, as we continue to learn, explore, conversate, I meet guys as well who have a real capacity, who are married, who who have a capacity to dialogue about things like this and it not turn into something that is going to eventually be a conquest. Because I am not a conquest at this point. Though, again, you can't control the nature of men, and you really can't control the nature of women either. Because at the core, we are just who we are, right? We're kind of primal creatures that are sexual. And so, I want to say that for women, yes, I believe you on that. Okay, cool. Excuse me. So, for women, so just in case, because we are getting down to about 9 minutes, I'll speak for me. I am a woman, but I do talk to a lot of women too. And I talk to a lot of women privately who don't say things as out in the open. And again, I think being a woman who is just sexual, I know that I ooze a level of sexuality because I don't care, it's just a part of who we are. Like it's not everything about who you are and who you can be, but it is definitely a part of all of us. That's why people are so drawn to it. I even asked a question in my stories yesterday. Good morning. What are 3 elements, that make a good sexual experience? It doesn't always have to be, again, about head and all this other stuff. It can be, if that's what you like, but, so feel free to answer that question. It's always anonymous. Even if you're asking me the question, nobody can see that it's you answering it. So, again, no judgment zone. But anyway, for women, sex doesn't always have to be romantic, though there is, I do believe in, emotional connection. But just know that, sometimes women like to fuck. Okay? That's it. Doesn't always have to be romance and roses and all that. Come on, let's be real. People watch porn. Everybody knows it. And women desire different types of experiences too, And sometimes it is purely for the conquest and the sport, that I know when I was in my phase and exploring a little bit more, and I did whisper. My dad is here too, and he's not ready. Let's just be real. But as long as you can hear me, that's fine. Let's be real. Yeah, Dad's not really ready to hear all this that I'm sharing with you. So yeah, sometimes purely for conquest or sport, again, when I was not in a committed relationship, and I do encourage women to date. I've talked about this before. It doesn't mean that you have to, have sex with everything that's walking. But when you are single, you are single. As long as you are safe and you understand the consequences of what you are doing, I do believe that, yeah, and you grown. It's okay. You're grown. As long as... Miracle, what you know about the... Don't... That's an old college thing. Meters, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, because again, you don't ever know what you like. You can't ever. That's part of what makes me, I guess, sexual. And I know what I want because I've experienced a lot of what I want. I've experienced things on a level that says, I like this, I don't like that, I know why I'm doing this, I know that could potentially fuck my head up, or dude, that's a little bit too much. I can tell a man exactly what I want and what pleases me, and be willing to try things that I haven't tried before because I'm not a big prude. So yeah, sometimes women just want to know what it be like. And let's be, I've had men who have shied away from that too. That terrifies them as well, because men and women still want emotional connection at some point. And when they see that a woman can be in control of hers, maybe it makes them a little fearful that they may not be able to control theirs. I don't know. I'm not a dude, so feel free to speak on that, gentlemen. Yeah, we have fantasies, we have our own fantasies. They're all different, every woman is different in what she wants, but, sometimes I think that, I feel sometimes like men get into this phase of like, this works on all the bitches. Like, this works on all of them. Not really. Like, you have to get to know an individual woman. She may be totally different than the last broad you hooked up with. She might like something completely different, So, yeah, just be willing to, like, again, that's about openness, connection, trust with a person to even, want to go there and learn, what does this person like? It can't just be like what you did to the last chick, what you did to the last dude. Everybody got their little tricks. Well, hopefully you do. But be willing. I think that's something that women have fantasies. And like I was saying earlier, I think that our emotional power allows us to explore more and deeper and, just feel a little bit freer. We're not always just trying to control. Women are into the submission, but I think deep down, a man may want a woman who can kind of dominate them a little bit. Feel free to get at me on that one too, because again, a woman who really understands her power in the situation, yeah, we have a lot of control in the bedroom. I think women have a lot more control than we give credit for. They like to say pussy runs everything around the world, whether we know it or not. So yeah, because we are emotional creatures, we have a lot of power in the bedroom. And because of a man's physical nature, if you know how to manipulate his physicality, you can kind of manipulate things to get more emotional than he may realize. Maybe that's just one of my little tricks. I don't know. So, anywho, we got 2 minutes left, and like I said earlier, my DMs be popping. If you want to discuss anything that I've chatted about today, feel free to hit me up. I love conversating with, all my folks, getting to know y'all. No judgment zone. Eventually, as Mr. Big said, I see this thing growing into something where we can all kind of join up in a room and conversate and just chill. You know what I mean? We all got opinions, and we need to hear them. We need to hear them more. So I'm grateful that I'm getting more comfortable every day with sharing my own thoughts. And I'm going to sign off with a wild thought. That sex is the most divine experience that we can exchange with another person. I know I've talked a lot about men and women today and basically heterosexual relationships. I have lots of people, lots of friends, that aren't heterosexuals. And so, it's really about emotional, physical, spiritual connection with a person. And that's what I think it really is about when and I mean, how much more vulnerable do you get than when you're having sex with a person? Your body's vulnerable, your spirit is vulnerable. And we tend to disconnect, sexuality from spirituality a lot. Again, it has such a stigma of being something negative or nasty, and it is a way of exploring yourself as well, and exploring your divinity. Even through that whole phase, one thing I definitely discovered, and call it a whole phase, I don't even really call it that, it's just what people associate it with. What I discovered was that I needed to care about someone. Like it got very empty. And so but only through those experiences was I able to discover that. And I still learned a lot in the process. So, continue to learn yourself, and you will definitely learn more about others and your relationships, even if you're already in one. Learning yourself is always the key. So, this is just Joy. This is the Beauty Influencer Love Spray. Link in my bio. And it does bring all the love and vibes, self-love, attract love. I have lots of testimonies about it. This spray right here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have an amazing day. This is Tia Wild Thoughts. All right, y'all. Peace.